Today, we are tackling the National Real Estate Exam portion on land use controls by focusing on the complex world of variances and non-conforming uses. On your exam, you will frequently encounter scenarios where a property owner wants to do something that the current zoning does not allow, and you must distinguish between these two specific remedies. Let us start with variances because the exam testers love to focus on the specific legal standard required to obtain one. A variance is a requested exception to the current zoning ordinance for a specific property. To be granted a variance, the owner must prove a unique physical hardship that is inherent to the land itself and not a result of the owner's own actions. For example, if a lot is shaped like a narrow triangle or has a massive granite formation that prevents the owner from building within the standard setback lines, that owner might apply for an area variance. You should watch out for trick questions where the owner simply wants to make more money by building a larger structure than allowed or building more units than the zoning permits. In the eyes of the exam, financial gain or personal convenience is never considered a valid hardship. There are two primary types of variances you need to know, which are area variances and use variances. An area variance deals with the physical layout of the property, such as setbacks, height restrictions, or lot coverage. A use variance is much more significant because it allows a property to be used for a purpose not permitted by the current zoning, such as building a small professional office in a strictly residential zone. Now, let us pivot to non-conforming uses, which are often referred to as being grandfathered in. A non-conforming use occurs when a property was legally established and complying with the zoning at the time it was built, but the zoning laws changed later, making that use technically illegal under the new rules. Imagine a small corner grocery store that has been in operation for 20 years, and then the city rezones the entire neighborhood to strictly residential. Because the store was there first, it is a legal non-conforming use and is allowed to continue its operations. However, there are strict limitations that the exam will test you on regarding how long this status lasts. A non-conforming use generally cannot be expanded or enlarged. If that grocery store owner wants to double the size of the building or add a second story for warehouse space, they will likely lose their protected status. Furthermore, if the non-conforming use is abandoned for a specific period of time, typically defined by local law, such as 6 months or a year, then the right to use the property in that way is lost forever. If that happens, the property must comply with the current residential zoning moving forward. Another critical point is that if the building is substantially destroyed by a fire or natural disaster, most jurisdictions will not allow the owner to rebuild it as a non-conforming use. A major trap on the exam is confusing a non-conforming use with an illegal use. If a person starts a business in a residential zone where it was never permitted, that is a zoning violation or illegal use and not a non-conforming use. To remember the difference between these two concepts for your test day, use the mental shortcut that a non-conforming use is a legacy from the past, while a variance is a request for the future based on a hardship. Think of a variance as a present-day plea for mercy because the land is physically difficult to work with. On the exam, if you see the word hardship, you should almost always look for the word variance in the answer choices. If you see a scenario describing a business that was legal but the rules changed around it, then you are looking for a non-conforming use. Understanding these nuances is vital because the exam will present you with situational questions where you have to decide which permit or status a homeowner should seek to resolve their land use conflict. Keep in mind that a variance stays with the land and does not end when the property is sold, which is a common point of confusion for students who think it is personal to the owner.